All right, Trevan, what's your website tip of the week?
So we're actually going to switch it up a little bit this week. Instead of a website tip, what we want to do is a how-to video. Now, we normally give you guys a ton of tips on Facebook ads or website tips, but what we wanted to do is actually do a how-to on how to implement some of the things that we show you guys. Now, recently, I've talked a lot about implementing a blog on your website and how that can help you with acquiring warmer traffic or just building more engagement organically with your website or your business. But what I want to do is actually show you guys how to utilize Webflow to do that. Now, if you guys don't know, here at 253 Media, we primarily use Webflow for a majority of the websites we build. It's just better, it's faster, and you're able to be more custom with things like your CMS, which is what we're going to be using today. CMS is a content management system, and that's what we're going to be using to lay out a simple blog and show you guys how you can build out that CMS so that you only have to build it one time and add on to it in the future, and how you can lay out your page and never have to design a brand new page every time you lay out a blog. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into my screen recording software so that I can show you guys how I build out a CMS in Webflow and how you guys can do it with your website as well. Okay guys, so I have my Webflow pulled up here. Now really quick, if you guys don't know about Webflow, or if you guys have been kind of considering or questioning whether you should use Webflow, this is one of my favorite tools that I've ever used for building websites. It has made my process faster, and it's made it easy to do it without having to learn a bunch of code or, learning a bunch of crazy technical things. What we're going to do is we're going to build a blog in here, and for the purposes of this, I'm just using an example, fresh new little website, blank page here, and I'm going to build a CMS from scratch. But what I want to do first is I want to show you guys kind of how I decide what I'm going to put into the CMS and kind of lay out the types of fields, and that'll make sense here in just a minute. I guess actually before we jump into this, let's go ahead and start the CMS. That makes more sense. So what you'll do is you'll click on these coins here in the Webflow little left-hand side, and you'll click create a new collection. Now here we're just, for the purpose of this, we're going to say blog for SEO. Okay. And then down here you can see that you have the different fields, and those are going to lay out right here. Now these are going to make sense to you here in just a minute, because what we're going to do is we're going to use one of our blogs. We're going to use our most recent one. The title of this one is what you need to know about iOS 14 and Facebook. But what I want to do is use this as an example of what I should do for fields in my blog CMS. So we know that they have a title. We know that there's a couple different bodies of text here, which we can use a rich text for, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. We know that there is an image here. It looks like one image. We know that there's body number 2. And then a couple of links, and then you have this section and stuff like that. Now for purposes of this video, we won't get into how to lay out this stuff really right now, but I'll give you guys kind of some tips and stuff on what that is and how you kind of link that later. But let's start with building out our CMS, and then we'll just use kind of copy and paste this content over so that you guys can see what it is. So first things first, we know that we need the name. That field is already in there, so we'll save that. The slug is already is something that we're gonna want as well, so that's there. Let's go back. Now we see that there's body of content. Now let's call this entire piece here body 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a rich text, okay? Now, this will be a tip within the tip video, but if you have anything, and let's say you're transferring your old blog over and you want to keep some of the same spacing or bullet points, as well as like subheadings and stuff like that, best way to do that when you're building this and transferring that over is not to grab, freezing a little bit here, is not to grab just a regular text element, because that's not going to take over some of those attributes. What you want to grab is a rich text, and again we're going to name this body 1. Put a space there. Help text, and this will be first body of content. Now, I normally don't need to use help text a lot, but when I was new, I did use this so that if I forgot what a field was for, I know what to put in there. If you guys are getting really custom, and let's say the first body is going to be questions, second body is going to be answers. You could do that, right? That's how you kind of understand how to differentiate those. But let's go ahead and save that. Now we have our body 1 ready. And then it looks like we had an image as well. So let's go ahead and add in a field for an image. And then let's say main image. Okay. Now we come back to this page because we want to just make sure we're following the structure. And then it looks like we have, this is going to be its own text element actually. So let's add in a text and say photo description. And again, since this is just one line of text, you can use just a regular text field. Okay. And then we know that we have body 2 after that, which is going to be another rich text because, again, as we see, we have quite a bit of paragraphs that are, you know what I mean, have spacing in between them as well as a subheading. So let's go back over here and name this one body 2. Second body of content. Okay. And then we see that there are some links here. Okay, so we can go ahead and add those in. So you can just do this and you can do link 1. And then you can do link 2, link 3, link 4. I'm just going to do 2 links for the purposes of this video to save you guys some time. Okay, so now we have all of that, right? Let's go ahead and let's click create the collection. And as you can see, there's no items in here. Sometimes a lot of people I've seen, they'll use the dummy items down here where you can create the sample ones and it'll just fill it in there. For this purpose, we know what we're putting in here and I've already built out my item list, so we don't need to worry about that. I'm gonna click create a new blog for SEO. And then the name, we're gonna come over here. We're gonna do this, okay? Now, while I'm doing this, I'm just going to touch on a few things. Not everybody is going to have a blog that they're able to just copy and paste from. Not everybody's going to have an old website that already has a blog, right? But this tip that I showed you, this shouldn't necessarily matter, right? Whether I wrote this content myself on the back end or I'm writing it now, what I did was I used an old blog, or not an old blog, this is new, but I used somebody else's blog for inspiration, right? And then I knew kind of, you know, what items or what elements I need on my page. From there, I build the list, and then I know I can use this to start writing my blogs. Now, I could be in here and know, oh, body 1, I want to have this included. Body 2, I want this included. I want this for the image, and then you click create. But let's go ahead and get all of this copied in here so that you guys can see how this works when you're laying it out on the template page, okay? Okay, now as you can see, my subheadings, all of my bullet points and stuff like that came over. That's why we use the rich text. Let's go ahead and we'll just grab this image. Webflow is really cool and simple. You're able, oh, gotta move my camera here. You're able to just drag the image in here. Okay, for some reason that image didn't want to shoot in there, so we just grabbed something different. We can go ahead and grab the text for this short description. Okay. And then you guys already kind of basically get the gist. So what I'm going to do is actually just jump ahead to me copy and pasting this into these fields. Okay, so I have all of my stuff filled out in here. I'm just not going to worry about the links right now for the purpose of saving you guys some time. But as you can see, I have all of this in here. This is ready to post. So I'm going to save this. What I wanted to do as well is kind of give you guys a basic understanding on how this kind of works once you guys set this up, because you're going to need a page to showcase it on, right? So you have a blank template here. I don't have a nav bar designed for this video, so we'll just go ahead and just work with the elements that we have. But what I normally do, and I'll kind of jump ahead on this one as well, but I normally just start kind of with the div block and set the structure to 90% width of the page, and then I kind of just start building in there. So I'm going to start doing this for you guys and show you what I have here in just a minute. Start with the section, and I'm going to drop a div block. Okay, so this is the cool thing about the CMS. I'm going to drop a heading in here. I'm not going to do any styling really to the heading. I need it to be centered though, because that'll kill me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, get text from blog for SEOs, and then I'm going to link it to the name. Boom. Now we have that, right? Let's go back into this div block here. And then what I want to do is I want to add that body of content now. So again, whatever elements we used in the back end for the CMS, that's what you have to use to link it here. So because we used a rich text for body 1, camera's in the way again. Then we want to, you know what I mean, connect that rich text to that one, right? Let's go back here. And again, I'm building a little bit sloppy because I'm just giving you guys an idea. This is how you just connect it, right? We'll be doing more how-to videos on how to lay out the structure of your site, how to build that website. That'll probably be what I film for next week for you guys. So stay tuned for that. But for this, let's not worry about that. Let's figure out how we connect all of the CMS items to the elements on the page. So now let's go ahead and drop an image in here, because that was something that we did as well, is we had an image in the blog. Okay, get image, main image, boom. This is just a random image because I couldn't get the other one to work. But as you can see, right, that's super simple. Once you have that done, then it's connected. Now let's say this was the final design, right? Even though it's god awful and just, you know, from scratch. Let me show you guys how easy it is once you have this set up to go ahead and just start adding on to it, right? So let's create a new blog. And let's name it Trevan is Awesome. And then our favorite guy here at the office, Samuel, is not. Just kidding. We won't do him like that. Let's go ahead and just copy another body, maybe, right? So let's copy this bottom one since we didn't get that in the first one, so that we can tell the difference. Okay, and then we will throw, let's say, this image in here. Same image. So go ahead and create. Okay, so check this out. Once you go back to this page, so we built it one time, right? Now that we've added into that and we built it and we have everything connected, Webflow is automatically going to build that next page for you and connect those fields. So once you build it, you don't need to build it again. You build out your items, you build the page. All you have to do is fill in the fields and you're good to go. Blogging is really super easy once you have this kind of process down, and you know you need a name, you know you need a body in between this amount of words, you know you need some images. Once you have that structure laid out, it's going to be super easy for you guys to hop into Webflow and start posting blogs as frequently as you have time to do them. Now, with that being said, I know this goes kind of in depth. I am not the best teacher by any means, so if you have any questions or if there's anything I missed or went too fast on, please feel free to comment below and we'll go ahead and either film a new video for you or we can hop on a call or just chat really quick through messages with any questions you do have. All right, so we just showed you guys how to build your CMS, how to get an idea of what your CMS should have, how to fill that in, a basic idea on how to lay that out on a template page. The way that I see it, you guys have more than enough tools right now to go and build your blog, start generating some SEO content. Moving forward, we'll be doing a how-to video on how to actually design that page if you don't already have a template that you're really working with, which I'm really excited for. Everybody should be able to work on their own things. But without further ado, hope you guys have a really good week. I'm really bad with goodbyes. I look forward to talking to you guys next time. Have a good day.
Without further ado,
Yep.